how I do it personally is I like to separate it into two categories. So one is more on future US stocks that I know have potential value to grow in the future. And then the second category would be branded stocks. So these are stocks that already have a large presence. We all know them, they're familiar to us. So if you want to choose what's US stocks to invest in, focus on the sectors that you have conviction in.
All right. Hey, everyone. I am not going to show the usual ad as I usually do. We're just going to go and hop in and answer the questions tonight with Miss Tony Aquino. We're going to have her again on the show, which is amazing. Shoot us your question. We have the Discord channel, and we are going to have these questions on the show. So, who's excited to have Tony here? I know I am, and I know you guys are, so...
Hello, hi. It's always such an honor to be part of your show, even though this is, I think, is this the third time?
Third time.
Third
But
time.
seems like it's we could do this all the time, no problem, right?
Again,
So
thank
how's
you
it
for
been?
having me here. Yeah. So I usually post content about personal finance, well, everything under personal finance, insurance, and investing also. So if you're looking for bite-sized content, quick to consume, you can go ahead to my TikTok account.
Perfect. So Tony, what do you say? Should we start answering questions?
Game.
All right, here's one from America. I'm interested in stocks but don't know where to start. What would you recommend as an advisor?
Well, what's good about stocks is that it's a very accessible investment, especially for beginners, because you can start with a low amount, and at the same time it can be easy to learn. So what's good about it is that, like for example, if you invested in Ayala Corporation or AC in 2014, in 2018 it was around 970 per share. So back in 2014 it was about 512. So parang nag-double siya, 'di ba, in 4 years. And you won't be able to find that in a bank, 'di ba? It would take you maybe around 72 years before your investment doubles. Oh, 'di ba? Medyo matagal. So, usually the main reasons why a lot of people would hesitate to invest in the stock market is number one, they don't know how. Number two, they have that fear. And number three, a lot of people who've invested in the stock market probably just followed rumors and ended up losing a lot. So for you to get started, you have to overcome those three hurdles. And that would be number one, of course, educating yourself. So the first thing that you should do is learn the ins and outs of stock market investing. So that's the terminology, ano nga ba yung mga strategies that you can apply. And then after that, you can open a stock brokerage account and then buy your first stock. Ganun siya. So I
Do
hope that
you
answered your question.
do you help out with people, Tony, for those who go to you and ask you, "Hey, can you help me open my first stock brokerage account and stuff?" Do you do that as well?
Yes. Actually, I have lots of TikTok videos teaching people how to do that. How to open a stock brokerage account, how to buy your first stock, how much you should start with. But if you want it to be personalized, then I also help out my clients with that. So actually, even if you just message me on Instagram and you ask questions like that, I'd be able to entertain that too.
So
Of
for
course.
me, I learned it all from Marvin Guillermo. Great guy. Can't promote him enough. Really good stuff, and you could also check out his YouTube channel. I am indebted to him when it comes to my stock trading prowess, and I'm not that great. So, but he's really good.
Yeah, that should have just been the answer. So there's a YouTube channel named Marvin Guermo. Just go to that if you don't know where to start.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of people want it personalized. So if you help them, there you go, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Antonette Aquino. So, second question: which U.S. stocks would you recommend for beginners?
Recommend. Okay, but first thing before I say my answer, just I want to give this disclaimer. Don't transact or don't buy stocks just because you hear it from me or just because you hear it from Sean. So, like going by Marvin Gamo's words, investing in US stocks even is all about conviction. So, take the time to build your conviction on it. But how I do it personally is I like to separate it into two categories. So, one is more on future US stocks, stocks that I know have potential value to grow in the future. And then the second category would be branded stocks. So these are stocks that already have a large presence. We all know them, they're familiar to us. So if you want to choose what's US stocks to invest in, focus on the sectors that you have conviction in. Like, for example, there are tech stocks, which I believe have potential to grow or make you money in the future. Like, for example, a lot of people are now entering the EV market. People are now switching to sustainable stocks, and more people are buying electric cars, right? And I believe that 10, 15 years from now, we're all going to shift to that system. So that's why a lot of people would invest in stocks like Tesla or even NEO, right? But for example, if you want to go for stocks that focus on streaming or online platforms like Facebook or Zoom or Netflix, I think we've seen in the beginning of the pandemic that Zoom boomed because there was a demand for it. So I still believe that even after the pandemic, once everything cools down, people would still be using Zoom because now we've sort of realized that we can do everything online now. We can have meetings through Zoom. So that's why I also personally invest in platforms like that. Well, another thing would also be fintech stocks. So fintech stocks like PayPal or Square also have a lot of potential because more and more people are doing cashless transactions now. More and more people prefer that because yun nga, we're trying to limit contact and all of that. But let's say if you want to be more passive, you want a less hands-on approach, then Warren Buffett advocates index fund investing. So the index fund basically it tracks the S&P 500 or like the Fortune 500 companies. So if you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about what stock from the 500 to buy, then you can just simply own every piece of that stock in the Fortune 500. So that's what an index fund is. You can look up Vanguard Growth Fund. That's what I like, the VOO, or the Schwab S&P 500.
There you go. I think busog na kayo dun sa advice. Ang dami nun, no? If you guys are gonna ask me, I'd just say Google. But that's because I'm in the SEO industry.
Right. Well, because I'm trying to be careful when people ask me questions like this. I don't want to be so
Yeah.
particular about just 3 stocks or all of that. Gusto ko i-explain na may mga iba-ibang sectors that people can explore. And right, use
Yeah.
Google, diba? If you believe in fintech companies, go search if they're a publicly traded company, and you can buy US stocks or shares from that company.
Yeah, true that. Those are good stocks, all of those that Tony mentioned earlier. And yeah, I'm also not that great when it comes to stock trading or investing. I do have a lot of stocks kasi nga, hindi nga ako magaling. So, marami na lang akong biniling iba-ibang, most of them blue chip, like Google, Tesla, one of them.
Right.
Yeah, if you're not that risky, want to play it safe, those Zoom, Facebook, obviously they're making a lot of money now, so can't go wrong with
Yeah.
buying those stocks.
True. And another thing that I want to point out is also e-commerce. So you're in the digital marketing space, and stocks or companies like Amazon, diba, Alibaba,
Yeah.
Shopify or Etsy, they all disrupt the retail space. So if you believe that 10 or 15 years from now, everyone's going to switch to e-commerce, then best to get into those stocks now while, it's still at its low or it's still undervalued.
Yeah, true that. And ang daming software na nag-IPO.
True.
By the way, this is again for me then, disclaimer, this is not an endorsement. These are very risky stocks because they just went IPO, but they are softwares that I personally know from 7 years ago or somewhere there. Monday.com, SEMrush went IPO. Payoneer went IPO. These are companies I know from way back. And finally, they got the traction and the funds to go IPO right now in the US. And you can buy them if you have a US brokerage account now. So
And
there's still, pasimula pa lang. Yep.
okay, okay. Well, speaking of opening a brokerage account, it's very easy to do one. Actually, there's an app that allows you to invest even for as low as $1, which is called Go Trade. So you can even explore that. It's open to Filipino-based users as well. And there you'll be able to see yung mga trending stocks. You'll be able to see fundamentals of each company. Well, I made a TikTok video about it too, so you can check that out under the Global Stocks playlist ng TikTok account. Go Trade, yeah.
Go Trade. Check that out in Tony Aquino's TikTok account. I'm sure you have an explanation there, which is going to be really nice for people who want to start doing it. No, $1.
I do. I have a whole review. I have a tutorial even on how to buy and how to open an account. So you can check that out.
There you go. Now, UITFs. What are the benefits of UITFs?
Benefits. So first, let's define what the UITF is, just in case other people don't know it. So it's called the Unit Investment Trust Fund, and it's basically where you join other investors and entities to form a trust fund. So it's usually handled by a fund manager or a trust expert. And what happens is that in that fund, it's invested with a portfolio of stocks, my bonds. There are also money market and other types of funds. So in ETF, you'll basically earn from the gain or the loss from the fund performance. So it's different from a mutual fund, which is what other people get confused of. Because in mutual fund, you have shareholder rights, diba? When you own a piece of that fund. But for the UITF, you don't. So you earn from the fund performance. And what's good about the UITF is because it's being handled by a fund manager, then that's less work for you, diba? All you need to do is to have that capital to invest in a UITF and choose your risk appetite. And another benefit to that is that there's a wide range or variety of funds that you can choose from. So it will still depend on your goals. It will depend on your risk appetite. And another thing that I like about UITFs is that there's no entry fees, or it isn't as the management fees aren't as costly compared to mutual funds. So those are the pros of a UITF.
Got it. I've invested in UITFs before, actually.
Before.
Yeah,
Do you still hold
it's
it?
it's still open. It's been a decade now, but as the stock market it went up, I didn't withdraw because I was there for the long game, and now it went down again and it's still recovering. So I have no idea what happened to that anymore because it's not a big amount of money. I just told the bank, oh, put in a small amount every month, and they do that. They can do that for you. So they'll put in a small amount every month, and last time I checked, which was maybe 2 years ago, it didn't make money. No, so but again, that depends on the market and that depends on
Yeah,
your
the type of
outlook.
fund also.
Yeah. So, grabe, ang daming pwedeng investments, no? Daming pwedeng investments.
True. And yung UITFs kasi it's really recommended for long-term investors. So you won't really see that much gain in the first 7 years. So you have to wait for longer than that to actually see results. So UITFs are for long-term investors, hindi yung mga mid-term or short-term.
Pero grabe yung sinabi mo kanina, no? If you left it in a bank 2 years, parang buong buhay mo na yun, no?
Kaya nga so invest. Ayan. Yeah, basically, yun yung sinasabi ko to convince people to start investing. Kasi diba, there are a lot who are still very hesitant. But diba, yun yung sinasabi ko palagi. I always say that it will take 72 years for your money to double in the bank. Whereas if you invest it, it can just take maybe more or less 4 years for it to double.
Yeah.
Oh hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're gonna be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
There are also a lot of people who would say money can't buy happiness. But in reality, that doesn't mean that finances can't affect your well-being. So, diba, if your financial health is in bad conditions, then it's going to affect several aspects of your life. So, That's why I feel as if you want to improve your well-being, then you also have to take care of your money health.